Warning, the following program contains adult language, adult themes, and spoilers. Viewer discretion is advised.
In 1995, theorizing that one could time travel within their own lifetime, Dr. Sam Beckett stepped into the Quantum Leap accelerator and vanished. After years of attempting to bring him home, the project was abandoned until now.
He awoke to find himself trapped in the past, facing mirror images that were not his own, and driven by an unknown force to change history for the better. His only guide on this journey, an observer from his own time, who appears in the form of a hologram he can see and hear, and so finds himself leaping from life to life, striving to put right what once went wrong, and hoping each time that his next leap will be the leap home.
Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of This Week's Episode. I am your host, Evan Goldstein. With me as always is the snarky computer tech, Karen Randazzo.
Wow, do I feel underdressed.
The gruff military guy, Kris Randazzo.
Hey, that's the floating disembodied head of Scott Bakula.
And the helpful hologram, Angie Fernot.
That pretzel cart came out of nowhere.
We here on this week's episode talk television. This week was my week. I chose the new series of Quantum Leap, Episode 1, Season 1, July 13th, 1985. But before we get into that, here's your weekly reminder that you can get in touch with us at mail@geekade.com. Just let us know what you're doing, what you're watching. Tell us if you're enjoying our conversations. Suggest something for us to watch. We want to hear from you because this is why we do this, just for you. And we want you to be a part of it. So please, email us. Hey guys, it's been a minute. How are you?
Hi. Happy Halloween.
Ooh, that's
Yeah,
right.
happy Halloween.
Ooh, that was
And
yesterday.
happy anniversary.
Thank
Ooh,
you.
that was the day before yesterday. Thank you very much. Yes, for those that don't know, Miss Angela and I are married, and we got married.
Sorry, everyone.
I know, I am taken. I apologize. We got married on the 30th of October, so next year be prepared to send gifts.
You know, check out the what is this thing? Patreon. Just
There
check
it is.
that out. That could be
Patreon.
our gift.
Yeah, there it is. So we just celebrated that. That was nice. We went out for dinner. What else did we do for our anniversary?
You don't remember the woman who climbed on top of you? That wasn't me.
Oh, that's right. We got. Yeah, that's right. We went and got massages.
Evan got his first ever couples massage, his second ever massage in life.
Yeah. So my first massage was technically not a real massage because it was a hot stone massage, which I felt was a waste of money because they just literally took hot stones and laid them on me. That was it. And I felt I got cheated out of a lot of money.
He did.
This time, this little Asian woman, I mean, I swear to God, she had opposable thumbs on her feet the way she was digging in. And there was a rig, and it was amazing. It was fantastic.
She literally had like an over the table rig that she held on to so she could like destroy him with her body.
Yeah. There were elbows, knees, feet, everything was involved. And I was underneath this slippery blanket. So for like the first 2/3 of it, there was like no oil, which kind of grosses me out the longer it stays on, because it was just a really slippery blanket. And it was so awesome. And it was fun to sit in the same room listening to Angela on the other side make those weird kind of
Okay, you were the first one that I did at one point. I had to like, because at first he was like making a lot of noises, and then after a while he got really quiet, and I was like, "Are you alive?"
biting my lip because at a point in time it was painful. Like, apparently I store a lot in my shoulders, and it was not, but it was great. And I really, really appreciate it, honey. Thank you. That was a wonderful surprise gift.
You're welcome. I'm here to make you suffer.
Yeah. I say I so.
Marriage.
But yeah, that was great. And then we went out to a lovely Italian dinner. We have a place down here that we go to. We order the same exact thing every time.
Except this time I changed it up because I was like, I don't want food envy, so I'm going to get the same thing as you. Because guess what? All right, listeners, after a certain point in a relationship, food sharing stops being a thing. Okay? That is what my husband, my dear, loving husband, has taught me. We don't share food. So I had to get my
Joey
own
doesn't share food.
That's right. I had to get my own penne.
I'll share it after the meal. Like, if I bring home leftovers, you're more than welcome to them.
You can have his leavings.
Yes. Sloppy seconds.
You know,
Thanks,
and it's
babe.
funny. It's funny because as we were sitting at the table, we were discussing how in the beginning of our relationship, we used to order 2 meals in the thoughts of splitting those meals. Like, she would get the hamburger, I would get the chicken fingers. Then we would split those meals at the table.
Yeah.
We don't do that anymore.
And I miss it.
I barely ask her what she's getting. My question is, are you ready? Because I'm ready. I know what I wanted when I was driving to this joint.
Yep. It's true.
Love.
Well, that's lovely. Happy anniversary to you guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
What
do you
about you
guys?
guys?
What have you been up to?
Well, we have kids, so Halloween.
Yeah. What were they for Halloween this year?
John was an Ender Dragon from Minecraft.
Sick.
I swear to God, I thought you said he was Enter the Dragon, and I'm like, that boy dressed up as Bruce Lee. That would be awesome. But I got it now.
It would be awesome if he had any clue who that was.
Yeah, I know.
And Ellie was a unicorn, and she had a dress with a sequined top and a tulle skirt that had LED lights in it.
Oh my God. She's so cool.
She's a fucking extra. It's not even funny, but she did get a lot of compliments, and we could see her in the dark. So,
So, did you guys I know trunk or treating is a thing now. Like, that's
Yes.
what the norm is. Do children do normal house to house trick or treating anymore?
we
Oh,
did do
yeah.
that as well.
Okay.
Because
Do
like,
your
people do
kids say-
trunk or treats, of course, but regular trick or treating, I don't think has gone away.
All right.
In
Did
some
your-
places, I think it has. I think fewer people. It depends where you live and stuff. In our neighborhood, it's sort of quiet, and it's like maybe every 3 houses, or there'll be a clump of a couple houses, and then a clump of nobody home
I
for
got
a
you.
couple houses, which we like. It's pretty. Our kids are still like little enough that it's like the 6-year-old was tired after an hour. Up the block, for a couple blocks up from us, is a neighborhood where they go hard. Every house has like over the top decorations, their own little mini haunted
Nice.
house built in their garage,
Sick.
like people in costumes acting stuff out on their lawns, and just a million people. And we don't go there because it's overstimulating.
It's too
And
much.
I have small children that I do not want to lose in a crowd.
That makes sense. That tracks.
So, yeah, we just avoid those guys. But, it just depends where you live, I think.
Friends of ours that you may so at our wedding we had a masquerade, and they dressed up to the nines, and they're good friends of mine from high school. And via Facebook I saw that their town, or their community, does like a dual trick-or-treating for both adults and children. So
What?
each house has something for children and something for adults, so that when the parents are taking their kids, from door to door, the parents get to do something. And the spread that they showed via their Facebook was like a mountain of, awesome candy, and then like a table full of Jello shots and adult stuff. And I was like, man, that town must get tore up by the end of the night.
Honestly, that's how I want it to be when we get a place. Do your kids say trick or treat?
They do. They say trick or treat, and I am that mom who says, do you have your manners? Did you say thank you? Which kind of backfired on me, because at a certain point my politeness cop of a daughter was like, am I the only one who's gonna say have a good night? Like, just say thank you and move on. Like, you don't get the just gotta be right about everything.
Okay, well, I'm relieved to hear that, because I went to a friend's house and they live in a neighborhood, because there are apparently not that many around here that actually do the trick-or-treating thing. So
we live in the Bible Belt, honey. That's Satan's work.
I know. Please don't even remind me of my disappointment in this entire fucking state right now. And
there are so many giant houses that have absolutely nothing going on right now.
They really don't.
So many giant blank canvases. It's so upsetting.
Utter disappointment. And then to make it worse, a lot of the kids that showed up were just like, hi, and just like went for a handful of candy, didn't even barely acknowledge us. And I was like, whoa, there are words you are supposed to say.
Klaatu, Varata.
Like,
I said the words.
yeah, like whatever, like just fucking say anything at that point. So some of them did say like, oh, happy Halloween, and I was like, that's not the fucking thing. So apparently I am that person now where I'm like, kids these days.
Get off my
Everyone
lawn.
said the words to us. Well, sorry, to me. I stay home and hand out the candy. I was doing full-sizers this year
Good
because
man.
we don't get a huge turnout, but we have a whole lot of decorations. And the people who come to our house every year are always really appreciative. Like a lot of people take pictures in front of our giant inflatables and stuff. Like it's a good time. But I was at BJ's and I was like, all right, well, I could get one box of 30 full-size candies, or like one bag of
912.
950 miniature candies for about the same price. I'm like, I'm not going to see more than 30 kids. So I went with the box of the full-size ones. It's like, I'm going to make sure that the kids who come here know that they should come here.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I got cold feet like 10 minutes before Halloween officially started around here, and I ran to ShopRite and grabbed 2 bags of candy that I absolutely did not need. Weirdly enough, the first thing to go was Skittles.
Really?
And I had leftover Snickers bars.
Full-size Snickers bars?
Yep.
Yo, kids, what is
So
wrong with you?
You know our
I think
address.
3 or 4 full-size leftover Snickers bars.
That's not right.
Which was, yeah, I was genuinely shocked.
I was
I am
genuinely disappointed in
offended.
my town.
Really shocked that the Skittles were the first to go. Like, here's 3 Musketeers, Snickers, M&Ms, peanut M&Ms, Starburst, and Skittles.
Was
And,
Starburst
like,
the second?
What was it?
Was Starburst the second to go? Is it a chocolate like peanut like allergy thing?
No, I can't remember what the second to go
Okay.
was, because at that point I was just kind of like chilling. But I remember the first 2 kids each grabbed a bag of Skittles. I was like, this is weird. Okay.
Kids these days. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. I mean, look, Skittles are great. I mean, I'm not anti-Skittle by any stretch.
Especially
but like,
when you hide
if I've
them.
got the choice between a bag of Skittles and a freaking Snickers bar, I'm going the Snickers bar.
Snickers or Skittles are awesome, especially when you hide them in a giant bowl of M&Ms.
Yeah, I don't know about the kids who don't say anything. I try not to like worry too much about that, because I know it's probably some kids are just like don't have manners or whatever, but like some kids are neurodivergent or nonverbal or whatever, and it's just like, you know what, you do you.
Oh yeah.
It's Halloween. Everybody have fun.
Well, what was really cute is like we were hanging out, and my friend teaches kids with autism, so like one of her students was there, like her mom had dropped her off and was like, so she was like hanging out so she could learn about like giving out candy and whatever, because I think her mom had to work or something, I don't really know. She's just like sitting there hanging out, handing out candy, and she's like telling the kids, she's like, 1 piece from each bowl please, because they had a chocolate and a non-chocolate bowl of candy for the kids, and it was really cute. And she's one of those kids that sometimes has a hard time actually being verbal, and so she was doing a really great job, and we were very proud.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love to hear it.
Very nice.
very sweet, very, very sweet girl.
I feel like you should have our nibbling come and help you next year.
Please and thank you.
Seeing as they're not, trick-or-treating age anymore, that maybe they would like to hang out by the fire and hand out candy.
They went out this year, I think.
Oh, did they?
They went with
missed that memo.
They were a ghost, and they went out like with some friends away from my sister.
Even better that they're still trick or treating.
Yeah.
Away from my sister.
Yeah, that's the key statement there.
I got it. I picked up on it.
I could go on for a while about that, but that's not what we're here for.
No, let's talk TV.
So yeah, let's chat about some TV. Let's see. Let's okay, honey. I'm gonna let you go first.
Oh,
I'm sorry, because I know what you've watched.
Okay.
And I need to get this out of the way.
All right. So I talked about the fact that I'm going to start watching Walking Dead again. Well, I haven't done that yet. So instead, I've been watching.
I didn't know you stopped.
Wait, what?
I didn't know you stopped.
Yeah. Well, because I had slowed down a little during the summer because I was like, okay, we're like season 11 and a half, I guess, or whatever the fuck is going to come out soon. And like, I don't want to forget what's happening. And then like season 8 was really heavy and I was like, oh, I kind of need a break. So I like started season 9 and then it got heavy again real fast. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. So then I stopped again. And then I was like, well, I don't have time for quality television. So I'm going to watch Step Up because I'm a masochist and I don't know what's wrong with me. So,
honey, I need
heck was Step Up?
I need you to use the proper name, honey.
So, Step Up, the TV show that I will not fully name.
High Water.
So it's a place. It's fuck you, God damn it.
Is that a TV show based on a movie about dancing?
Yes, it
All right.
Oh, yeah, it is.
So Evan thinks I'm crazy, and he's right. I would say it is interesting because if I were to bring value to this, it does. The whole premise of this show is that it's a dance school for underprivileged kids that deserve an opportunity and want to learn from the best to be the best, blah, 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 high school. And the thing that's kind of cool is like one of the main characters is a black gay kid, and like anyone who doesn't know this, it's obviously hard to be black, it's obviously hard to be gay, but try being black and gay in America. Not a good thing. Well, not a good thing for them. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being either of those things, but it's difficult for them. And so this character is like one of the main characters of the show, and I think that the way that they've represented that and handled that for him has actually been really thoughtful, which is surprising coming from this show. And they also deal with like a character whose little brother is like in the foster care system and he's trying to get custody because he doesn't want his brother to like be taken away forever. And like there's like really like dumb stupid drama like CW like party scenes where people are like dancing and getting into dumb fights, and then there's like really heavy shit like that, and I'm like, what is happening? But then there's dancing, and I love the dancing so much.
So every time I walk in, I get the feeling that she's watching a Glee-like television show, but instead of singing a cappella, it's dancing. Actually,
it's funny you should say that because I was going to like draw a minor comparison, but I think the thing about it is that it's more like it takes place in Atlanta. So you're going to have a more diverse cast, which I think is really nice because Glee did a pretty good job, but I felt like it was a primarily white cast. And in this instance, I feel like I'm not watching a primarily white cast. Like the main characters are a brother and sister who are black, and like their mom ended up like going to jail for I think something to do with drug use. So like they ended like it's whatever, the whole system, it's just like about them ending up with their uncle, and that's how they got to Atlanta. But you know, they're dealing with the consequences of like one of the characters' actions in the show right now, and I just think that it's actually some of it is actually really cool. And then there's fucking dancing, and I love the dancing so much. Have I mentioned the part that there's dancing? And speaking of Glee, one of the characters from Glee is also on this show.
Yeah, that's
But
Wait, one of the
unfortunately,
actors or one of the characters?
one of the
Actresses, yeah.
actresses, but she unfortunately is. Oh shit, I forgot her name. She's the
her
one.
name is Naya Rivers.
Yes, Naya Rivers. She's the one who went.
Rivera.
And she's the one who
Oh,
went
she's
missing.
the one who died?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that fucking sucks because like I love her character on this show, and now I'm like, well, that's not good.
She passed. Well, it's like it was like the circumstances, like they were.
Well, she went missing. Like there
Like,
was a
missing for a
search
while,
party.
yeah.
It was like it's really actually kind of upsetting because I don't know, like
She was a good actress too. I liked her character because I was a Glee fan. I liked her character on. I like Glee, so.
yeah.
But
I'm
I
really
will not
annoyed.
forget walking into the house one day from work or whatever, and you're not expecting me to come home when I did, and you were dancing. You were dancing.
Oh well, okay. So wait,
that's
that was
what,
a
that's what
different
this
night.
show is leading to now.
That was a different night. So I think what led me to watch the show was the fact that I use Nike training for my workouts at home, and I had been away from my workouts for some time, and I really needed something to like get me back into it and get my body moving. So I decided to pursue a how do I put this? They had videos like a dance series, and I got to do a dance along where I learned a dance step by step. I was learning the moves, and I am super white and uncoordinated, so it was not pretty, but damn did I feel
Friend,
cool.
there is no shame in that game.
No, you were having fun. I apologize for coming in when I did and laughing. It was not me laughing at you dancing. It was me laughing at your reaction to me catching you dancing.
You probably should have been laughing at my dancing.
No. But yes.
yeah. So that's it.
Sounds like you and me need to go dancing sometime.
Yes, let's do it. Lawnmower all day, every day.
I'm not going to lie. I am an enabler when it comes to this show because, like, she thought
is.
it was gone for a minute, and then all of a sudden the new season came, and I just quietly started downloading them again for her and just slid them onto the Plex to see if she'd notice.
I did. I definitely did. I was
I'm
like,
a good
hello.
husband.
You really are.
All right. Very good, honey. Thank you so much. Karen, what do you got?
Well, I watched a whole show, you guys.
A whole show?
Well, it was a whole season. I don't know if there's going to be a season 2 that Evan had gotten for me, and I was going to talk about The Time Traveler's Wife because I think it's a pretty well done adaptation, and Rose Leslie is charming, and Theo James isn't bad to look at. But then there was Doctor Who. There was another time traveler.
All right. So, yes, what was, because you said Doctor Who's not, is Doctor Who back?
No.
Okay, so this is a weird, like,
Guys.
what is this thing that showed up? Explain it to me.
So the
Verica, explain.
last of Jodie's era as the Doctor is similar to the last of Tennant's era, where he did a bunch of specials.
Okay.
She did a bunch of specials. She did the New Year special, or they're calling it the Festive special now. She did
Festivus special?
one at
The Festivus? Is that what you just said?
the Festive special.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because they got crap about calling it the New Year's special, so they're like, "Fine, it's the Festive special. Shut up." And then they did one at Easter, and then maybe they did another one, and then they did this,
Okay.
which was the Regeneration special, which I wish they would. I mean, there's really no surprise anymore to the Regenerations, and I guess that's fine, but.
I don't know. This one felt kind of surprising.
Yeah, I feel like I heard. I don't.
So-
I know what I heard.
Not the fact that she was regenerating, but what happened.
Well, it
Demon
would have
time popped
been
up.
surprising if I didn't know a lot of stuff about what's coming up and pretty much was able to figure out what was going to happen between context and people posting shit online the day it aired.
Oh my god! The minute it aired, I got
The minute it aired.
spoiled on the big secret of the whole regeneration. I was like, well, I don't know what it means, so I guess that's pretty cool, but thanks, internet. Like, do you really have to, the moment something
Yes.
airs, I need to screen capture this, I need to post it on Twitter immediately because I need to be the first one to talk about it. And I don't give a fuck if anybody has seen this yet. I saw it, which means that it's fair fucking game. Fuck you all.
Yes.
I hate people.
Well, listen, the good news is Twitter's going to die soon because Elon Musk bought it, and it's just for him and his friends now. So don't worry about it.
Correction, it's just for him and his, like, racist right-wing friends.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry. His
going for clarification.
QAnoners. Right. You know.
I feel like
I thought that was just a
cohorts is a
given.
better word than friends.
Cohorts
I don't know
is
that they
definitely
actually
nobody's
like
friends
each
with
other.
that guy.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Anyway, so it was the regeneration special. It was the most fun I've had watching Doctor Who in at least a year.
Wow.
Oh, really? Wait.
Yeah, I mean, there's
How
been
many
like
episodes of Doctor Who have there been in a year?
2 or 3.
Okay.
And they have not been great. But this was great. It was fun. There was the Daleks and the Cybermen and the Master.
As you do.
Was there enough space in the television show for all of that? That's a lot of stuff.
I mean, it was mostly the Master. So that was, and Sacha Dhawan is so fun to watch. He was, part of the plot was that he was in like 1918 Russia. As Rasputin, and when he finally captured the Doctor and like locked her up, then he did a whole dance to the Rasputin song, like to celebrate and gloat and shove it in her face that he caught her.
I think
So that
the
was
only appropriate
hilarious.
reaction is Chris's reaction.
Yes,
It was hilarious. I don't know a lot of modern-esh popular music or whatever. I don't know how I know that song, but I did. And as soon as it started playing, I was like, hey, I know this song. Good job, show.
Well done, show.
there was also a lot. Like you say, was there enough room in the show for the Master and the Cybermen and the Daleks? That's not even what felt crowded. What felt crowded is they brought in like everyone who's ever met Doctor Who who's still around and like wanted to be on the show. They had 2 classic series companions as a part of the story.
Okay.
Which was
I said, okay.
which was actually really nice because they were 2 who had kind of unresolved departures from the TARDIS, and so they were able to get some closure in their stories. And there was a lot of nods to classic series stuff and classic series fans.
Nice.
They also had a scene where she was, I forget what was going on, but she like went to this other plane and met this person who turned out to be like, not all of, because some of them are dead or not available, but several of her classic series like past regenerations, and they're like kind of like the face shape shifted, CGI'd into different people as they were having conversation.
That's neat.
So you get to see the first, or the guy that they now have playing the first Doctor. 2, 3, 4 weren't there. There was the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. So that was cool. And then in the end, they brought back one of the other companions that had been with Jodie's Doctor when she started. And they started a like the ending of it was sort of like they started a support group for past companions of the Doctor. And they brought in a couple more classic series companions for just cameos, which set a record, I think a Guinness record, for the longest time between appearances on a show playing the same character.
What?
Because, yeah, they had this guy, what's his name? Can't remember the actor's name, but he's William Russell. He played a first Doctor companion.
Okay.
And he's still around. So they had him on the show, and it was 57 years between the last time he played his character
Good
and
goddamn.
this episode. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's really cool.
That is awesome.
So there was a lot to like in it. They blew up Unit. That's always fun.
They did not kill Kate.
They did not kill Kate. They acknowledged the death of a classic series companion, which was a big gripe. They really never used to kill anyone on the show, and then they killed this one character And then the next succeeding episodes after that, they really just didn't talk about it. They just kind of like moved on with the show. And fans had complained that it was like kind of, you know, they didn't like it. They felt like the characters would have cared more that somebody died.
Right.
So they kind of wrapped that up too in this. They had one of the two classic series companions, Tegan, who was involved in the plot. They had her like talk to the Fifth Doctor version and like talk about that and what had happened and why they never talked about it again. And it was sort of because they were actually too upset to bring it up.
That tracks.
That makes sense.
So that was some nice closure. Then came the big, like, for some confusing twist ending, which is like the 13th Doctor went to regenerate and regenerated into David Tennant.
Color me shocked.
Why?
You don't know.
Which is what I wasn't exactly spoiled on, but I was able to figure it out very easily. Because in next year is the 60th anniversary special.
Okay.
And it's when Russell T Davies, who is the architect of the original, the reboot from 2005, he's coming back as showrunner. And so for that special, they're bringing back Tennant and Donna and some other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang.
I don't know how, but that like casting was announced. So they're going to do 3 specials with Tennant as the 14th Doctor.
Okay.
I don't know why he gets to count as an official number.
Yeah, wait. Isn't he? I thought he was the 10th Doctor?
He is the 10th, and now since he's back, he's going to be the 14th.
No, this doesn't make sense.
I mean,
So-
he is
Well,
a time traveler. Like, why
we
couldn't
haven't
you-
got an explanation yet.
Okay.
In the original run of the show, he was only supposed to be able to regenerate 12 times. Then in New Who, they like
I'm sorry.
did some garbage and were like, never mind. Look over there, something shiny. Guess
Yeah.
what? We were kidding. You get a whole new set of regenerations, and now they're just burning them. I guess.
we got regenerations. We're lousy with regenerations.
In that bit, Tom Baker was the museum curator, and there
He was
like
the curator. He's not credited as another regeneration.
But he said that weird thing to Matt Smith. He said you might find yourself revisiting some of the old favorites.
Yeah.
And like, so there's some precedent for this. I don't understand it, but I'm interested. I think it's nice to be confused in a way that's somewhat exciting instead of confused in a. I'm sorry. What did you just do?
Yeah.
What?
This
What?
sucks.
And I didn't remember that line. And if that is the reason, if they have something planned with Tom Baker for the 60th special, and that's why he didn't appear as one of the former Doctor's selves in this episode, I will be so stoked. Because that was a little bit of a bummer. He's still alive. He doesn't look like he's doing great, but he's still alive.
He barely
And
looks alive.
I don't know why he wasn't in the show if he's still around. But maybe there's a reason. So yeah, Tennant's going to be back. This is the other annoying thing. So we got this, and now we get to wait until November 2023.
Jesus.
Wow.
The first episode of Doctor Who aired on November 23rd, 1963. So they're holding it till November to celebrate the 60th anniversary.
Damn.
That's a
And he'll
choice.
do 3 specials as the 14th Doctor before regenerating into Shudigatwa in the festive special next year.
Okay.
So we have to wait another 13 months for more Doctor Who.
Damn.
Fucking A, BBC.
So that's not even a television show anymore. It's
I
a
don't know
movie
what the hell
series.
it is.
It's a
I
movie
mean,
series.
it
is what
will be. I get where they're at. There's a considerable portion of the fandom that did not take too kindly to this iteration, and that's what I like to consider the Doctor Who version of the fandom menace. that's always going to be a problem when you introduce any flavor of diversity into something science fiction-y. That was fine. Those people can fuck right off. But then there was also a large contingent of non-morons that were like, because the writing wasn't spectacucular. Like,
it's definitely been a strange run.
Yeah, it was. It pulled a lot of shit. It got a little big for its britches a few times, and I mean, like, Dan's a perfect example. Dan's a big Doctor Who fan.
Is he?
And he fell off during the end of Moffat. It was like, I don't know, it's just not doing it for me anymore. And by the time when Jodie, when they regenerated into Jodie, he just never came back to it. But bringing back Russell T Davies, he's like, all right, I'll give this another shot. And I think there's probably a lot of fans like that. So just kind of as a big, haymaker to the fandom of like, look. We're bringing it back, all right? We're getting our shit together.
There's a whole lot of like kind of rebranding going on, and I think the Tennant is like the linchpin of that because everybody loves David Tennant.
Yeah,
If anything will bring people back to give the show another chance, it'll be that.
Exactly.
So, yeah, a lot of crazy Doctor Who stuff going on. Some news too, like new episodes of Doctor Who starting next year will be airing now on Disney Plus.
Really?
What?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
on HBO. But HBO's doing a whole bunch of shit with their content right now, and I guess they decided to give up the rights to Doctor Who. So Disney Plus will have new episodes of Doctor Who. They will be giving money to the production in exchange for some say in creative decisions. So I guess we'll see how that looks. I really don't know I really have no idea what to expect out of all that. I guess I'm a little leery, but I'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like it's going to happen tomorrow or next month. So.
Well, I mean, I'm hoping that it's not, because I feel like the HBO stuff was like, all right, the season's over, have fun. Whereas I'm kind of hoping that these drop like new episodes of other things on Disney Plus. Where it's just like each week you get the new episode that you can stream on Disney Plus. Because I tell you, having you get us the most recent Doctor Who and watching it that way instead of watching it on BBC America was a massive improvement.
Oh my god!
The commercial breaks.
Worst viewer experience ever watching things live on BBC America.
And is it
So,
because
like,
the commercial break
Disney's
stuff?
involvement brings me, okay, I will take that if it means I don't have to watch it on BBC America, because holy crap, it's just such a dreadful experience with the way it cuts for commercial breaks, the you come back from commercial break, or you think you do, because it starts playing some bit of the episode you haven't seen yet, but they're like, wait, did I miss something? And then it stops and says, do you want to watch more? Like, yeah, it's why I'm fucking here.
It's a commercial for the episode you're watching in the middle of the episode you're watching.
Showing you shit you haven't seen yet.
It's the most goddamn confusing thing I've ever seen.
It is wretched is what it is, and I despise it.
Sounds like you got a good reason for it, though.
It's a tactic for them to like try and get you to not speed through the ads, because you'll like pause it, stop fast forwarding and be like, oh my god, I'm missing something. But you're not.
You're not. You've been fooled.
But now you've stopped and you're anxious about missing something else, so you're not going to speed through the ads, and maybe you'll watch it and buy something. Fuck off, BBC America.
No,
You're
sir.
here first.
I don't like
I
it.
don't like it. So yeah, Doctor Who.
There you
It was
go.
nice to have it back there for a minute, and now I will wait a fucking year.
13 months.
Stop. Make it longer. That's mean.
I'll
sorry.
slap him. I am in the same room.
All right, Chris, what do you got?
Oh, I get to go next.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got a we're still in the midst of Andor. which has been lovely. But we got another Star Wars show this month that I thought was really cool.
Did we?
We got Tales of the Jedi, and instead of doing a what they usually do, doing a week by week thing, they just dropped all 6 episodes at once. They are short animated specials, and they are very, very interesting.
Okay.
So they're done in the style of Clone Wars, like that's what they look like. They look like the Clone Wars cartoon, except more modern.
Okay.
Cool.
It is some. I didn't really notice how much more modern they had gotten until somebody showed side by sides of. There was one scene of, excuse me, one of the episodes had Anakin and Ahsoka training around when she first got paired with him. And they showed screenshots from that Clone Wars movie next to this episode. And like, wow, they really have improved these character designs a lot. And seeing young versions of these characters in the more modern style was really quite nice. So it was split. The episodes aren't necessarily connected. Like it's not like one overarching narrative. But there's 3 episodes that focus on Ahsoka and 3 episodes that focus on Count Dooku.
Okay.
Count Dooku being a character that I struggle with liking because I think Christopher Lee is awesome and I thought he did a great job in the movies, but his name is Count Dooku.
I'm sorry.
His name sounds like poop. And it's compounded by the fact that, like, you got the guy who played Count Dracula, so you named him Count Dooku. George Lucas is a fucking hack. His Sith name is Lord Tyrannus, and they keep calling him Dooku. It's so. Anyways, the Dooku episodes were, I think, more interesting than the Ahsoka ones. Not that the Ahsoka ones were bad, but like, so I watched the first episode. These dropped. Naturally, everyone's like, yeah, I watched all 6 of them within the first hour, and they're all fucking great, so have at it. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll watch these over the course of a week, probably. Can't just sit down and marathon 6 episodes of something, even if they're shorts. But, so I finally get to watch the first episode, I think on this, after they had been out for a day, and it was fine. It was Ahsoka as a baby, and there was some sort of hunting ritual where Ahsoka's mom and little baby Ahsoka go out into the woods, and she has to like hunt and kill something with baby Ahsoka with her, and then the giant cat, the baby and the mom get separated. The mom tries to stop the giant cat, and then Ahsoka uses the Force to communicate with the giant cat, and then the cat returns her to her village. The end. Neat. I still don't really get what that one is supposed to. What that one was supposed to show me, because all the rest of them were very clear of what they were trying to do. So the next 3 episodes were the Dooku episodes, and they take place when he was a Jedi, which I think is very interesting, because that's the thing with Count Dooku, was he used to be a Jedi, and they talk about that in episode 2 where he's introduced. And they never really get into it, even in the Clone Wars. You never really get into why he was a Jedi and then became a Sith Lord. Like, they never really bothered with it. And that's fine. He's a big evil dude who's smart and strong, and okay. So they got into it a little bit here, and it's pretty neat. The first one to him is he goes with his Padawan to go stop some sort of dispute in there's a village. We're in the where are we with this? It's not the Empire yet, but it's getting there.
Okay.
So the Clone Wars, this is before episode 1, and it's like there's still like the Senate and everything, and they're on this kind of backwater planet, and the local government is like being all tyrannical and stuff. And so the Jedi go out there, him and his apprentice are sent out there to like kind of straighten things up, and he meets the guy that's causing all the problems, and he gets real close to killing him because he's like, you're supposed to be protecting these people and you're just taking advantage of them. You're a scumbag and you shouldn't be alive. And his apprentice stops him and they keep the peace and they go their separate ways. And at the end, you find out that his apprentice was Qui-Gon Jinn.
Oh.
Which is neat because through this whole episode, you're seeing that, Dooku is a bit of a rule breaker in terms of being a Jedi. And that was kind of Qui-Gon's defining trait, as being a bit of a rule breaker, which is why he never made it onto the council. So the next episode is Count Dooku going out on a mission with Mace Windu. And Mace Windu is like super rule dude. Like he's all about the rules. And this is before Mace Windu made it onto the Jedi Council. So they go out and they do this mission, and Dooku's kind of not enjoying the whole mission because, like, again, he's in a situation where the people that they're sent to protect was this senator guy, and he's just a complete piece of shit. And he's like, you're taking advantage of these people, and that's not okay. And he again almost kills a dude, and Mace Windu stops him. And then Mace Windu gets promoted to the council, and Count Dooku thinks that the whole thing was a setup. He's like, did you know that going out on this mission was going to get you promoted, and that's why you took me along? The show explains it better than I'm doing, but it was a really interesting thing of like watching how this guy got to not trust the Jedi and the Jedi's relationship with the Senate, and how he came to generally view them as no longer the good guys. And so in the next episode, the Sith Lord, you find out that goodness, was it in Choices where you got to see he has a quick conversation at the end of this one with I think it was this one or the next one, but he has a conversation with no, it was the second one. So he has a conversation with Qui-Gon Jinn. Oh yeah, it was in this episode. They kind of bleed together. But you see him have a conversation with grown-up Qui-Gon Jinn. And then a minute later in the episode, it's kind of like a flash forward to right after episode 1, where Qui-Gon is dead. And you see Dooku first sneak into the library and use Sifo Dyas's code to erase the planet Kamino from the Jedi archives, that's what kind of what kicked off the whole point of the Clone Wars in general, and a big plot point in episode 2. So it was cool to see him do that. And then he goes and meets up with Darth Sidious, the Emperor, or the soon-to-be Emperor, and he's like super pissed at him. He's like, look, I've been working together with you kind of in the shadows because I don't want to be a Sith, but I don't want to be a Jedi anymore. But your guy killed Qui-Gon, and that's not cool because I loved that guy. And the Emperor's just like, yeah, well, this other Jedi killed Darth Maul, so we both lost an apprentice. We're all working towards the same goal here. And so he kind of reluctantly agreed, but then this other Jedi Master Yaddle, this is some fun deep lore. Yaddle is like Yoda. She's that same species, and she was like in the background in like one of the council scenes in episode 1, The Phantom Menace, but then she wasn't in episodes 2 or 3. Okay. So this explains that, which is like, it's a question maybe 5 people had, but they're using it, and I freaking love it. She stepped down from the council because she didn't like the way that they handled, in episode 1, the movie episode 1, Qui-Gon goes to the council and it's like, I found this kid, and I also encountered a Sith Lord, and everyone in the council is like, and Yoda included, is like, I don't know if you saw a Sith Lord. I mean, that's a pretty big accusation. And he's like, dude, I saw a Sith Lord. He had the red lightsaber. Motherfuckers charged at me with glowing yellow eyes. It was a Sith Lord. We got to do something. And they're like, I don't know. We'll think about it. Maybe. Bye. And that affected, and Count Dooku blames the council for why he died, because they wound up having to face off against a Sith Lord, and Qui-Gon died, and he blames the council for that. And apparently Yaddle, that was kind of like the last straw for her too, and she stepped down from her position on the council, and she followed Dooku out to meet up with the Emperor, and that was the whole situation where he officially turned to the dark side and accepted his position as Sidious's apprentice.
What about
And
Yaddle?
there's shorts, but there's so much happening.
There's a lot. There's a lot of depth in that.
Yeah, they're really good.
Wait, no, I'm serious. Did Yaddle also end up being a Sith?
No, he killed her. That's how he got the job.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh, it was so sad because they had this whole fight, and then he crushes her at a door,
Jesus.
and then she forces her way out of it, and then dies seconds later. She makes it. I was like, oh, she's still in it. No, she's dead.
Wait, are these cartoons for children?
Yeah, it's all done you don't see blood and guts or anything, and she pushed it.
The depth of story that you just went through does not sound like it's geared towards children.
Well, that's because it's like other TV shows where it's you have messages that are for kids, but then there's stuff for adults too.
Which is
they're neat to see, but this smells more like it's for parents to be watching with their kids than just kids to watch on their own, because it's a series of shorts that's designed to fill in lore.
Got you.
And then the two Ahsoka ones were pretty neat, I guess. This practice one, it was neat to watch, and I thought for sure I knew exactly where it was going. And it's just Ahsoka training with Anakin at the beginning of their relationship, and she's training against a bunch of those little floaty training droid things from A New Hope, little little ball things, and she does great against them, and then Anakin's just not impressed. All the rest of the Jedi's like, oh, she's doing great, and Anakin's like, whatever. And she's like, what do I have to do to earn your respect? And he says, all right, come with me. And so he brings her out to his clone troopers, his buddies, Rex and everyone, and he does the Han Solo thing. It's good against remotes is one thing, but good against the living. So she has to train against all these clone troopers, and she gets her ass handed to her for hours and hours and hours. And she finally gets the hang of it. And I'm like, okay, that's neat. I like where this is going. But what I didn't see coming was the very end of the episode, which really got me, because there's an episode in the Clone Wars where you see what happens to her during Order 66. And that's where this whole thing was leading, was how she knew how to do what she did to get out of Order 66 with Rex, who was one of the clones that had his inhibitor chip removed so that he could withstand Order 66. He had his own mind about him. It's oh, that's how she got so good enough to get out of fighting all those clones that were trying to kill Jedi. That was a really
she
cool,
was with the right crowd.
Cool finisher. Yeah.
That's nice.
And then the last one was apparently an adaptation of an Ahsoka novel that I never read, that does away with a queer character that was in the book. But one of the things that I was I don't know how to feel about it, because I've never read the book. I thought it was kind of weird that they wrote a romance story for Ahsoka. I thought it was kind of, she was fine. Not every character needs a romance arc, and I didn't think that was something that Ahsoka needed.
Chris.
Exactly, and even though it was a queer romance, it was still a romance, and it was fine. I mean, if you got to do it, you got to do it. But I don't know. I didn't think there was anything she needed, and like I said, I've never read the book, so I'm not coming from a place of real knowledge here. This story basically adapts largely what happened, including her facing off against an Inquisitor, and because they were still trying to hunt her down, even though she wasn't technically a Jedi, and she kills the Inquisitor and gets away, and it was neat. It was really cool looking. It was a fun episode, but it wasn't the Count Dooku stuff was damn, that's interesting. And this is this is pretty cool, and kind of tugged with when the Order 66 bit showed, I was like, oh, right, that was a tough episode. So this was great. The first one was fine, but then the other 5 were really great, and I really want to see them do more of this. I mean, obviously I want to see them do more of all Star Wars stuff, because they've been,
it's Star Wars.
For the most part, knocking it out of the park. Look, I'm never going to defend Boba Fett to the death. That show was a fucking mess, but I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
You're not dying on that hill?
Not dying on that hill. I don't blame anybody for looking at that and being like, this is kind of stupid. And I say, no, Boba Fett rode a fucking Rancor. I had a good time. I know it's not high art, but it was a good time. But this kind of stuff that they do where they basically fix the movies, like Dave Filoni and company has done so much to fix the numerous problems with the prequel movies. It's amazing. Like, to the point where just about all of it really makes sense now. I want them to do this for the sequels. They don't need it as bad because I think they're just so much more watchable. Even the stuff that's not as good as other stuff they're well acted. They're well put together. Like, they're cohesive movies. They're not filled with just the most dreadful dialogue imaginable. But there's a lot of like weird shit between episodes 8 and 9 in particular. Like, Last Jedi wraps up, and then the episode 9, it's like, oh hey, the Emperor's back, and a bunch of other shit happened. Have fun. Whoa! I feel like I missed a lot here because this is not where you ended off in the last movie. So I'm looking forward to somebody picking up the reins and filling in those plot holes. Not really plot holes, but just like big gaping holes in the entire plot story situation. Like, yeah, I don't want to call them plot holes because it's like they could very well be filled. It wouldn't take a lot to get there, but I'd like them to. And something like this would be really cool to see, focusing on characters like that. And there's been some cool Star Wars news. What is it? Damon Lindelof is getting a trilogy of Star Wars movies in the not too distant future that is set after Rise of Skywalker and might include some returning characters. That would make me very happy.
Nice.
I would love to see them actually pay off the whole Finn having force powers thing that they mentioned for like one sentence in Rise of Skywalker and just fucking ignored for the rest. I got something important to tell you. And we never find out what it was.
Yep.
The only reason I know what it was is from interviews and stuff of what it was supposed to be. But they just left that shit dangling there. Like, get him back. He was wonderful. And he's so pissed at Star Wars retroactively for promising so much and doing fuck all with his character of real value. And I want to see John Boyega come back and really be redeemed in that front because Finn deserves it. And I'd love to see Poe and Rey as well. So, and Rose, do something else with Rose too, because that actor was lovely, and Rose Tico is an interesting character that they again did actually fuck all with in the Rise of Skywalker. Again, a movie I like, but I like it a lot of the same way that I like the Book of Boba Fett. It was just fun. It was wonderful. So, there you go, Star Wars.
Nice. Thank you, Chris.
Hey, no
There you go,
problem.
Star Wars.
There you go, Star Wars. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. For the holiday season, we like to do scary stuff in this house. I came across a show called The 101 Scariest Horror Movie Moments of All Time. It was an 8-part miniseries that is, it was as if it was just written and recorded for me because I loved this show. Angela and I normally will just sit and watch a 2-hour or 2.5-hour movie, and this was so much better than sitting through a show or a movie that may be good, roller coaster. Why is there this bit of story in here? Because horror movies, just for as good as horror movies are, there's a lot of not good in them. This was the best of the best. The 101, I'm gonna say 85 to 90% of the movies I had seen, I agreed with. I'm gonna say just about every selection that they made. They did an in-depth about the movie that the scene came from, and then they talked about the scene, and it was hosted, I guess is the term to use, by so many random people, but most of them I recognize. Like Jonah Ray did some interviews for it. Dana Gould did a couple of interviews for it. It was just so entertaining, and then getting to see all of the best parts of the horror movies that I loved was great. Seeing as it was 101 and 8 episodes, I'm pretty sure the first 7 episodes were broken down, if I do the math correctly, into 13 clips per episode, which I thought was fantastic, so that the last show got the top 10. The last episode got the top 10. And like I said, there was not one. I mean, there was, so the weirdest one for me, and I don't even remember what number it was, but it was past the top 50 mark, maybe the top 30, and it was like The Exorcist 3. And I was like, why? This, like, I've never seen this movie, number one, and why would I bother watching The Exorcist 3? It's The Exorcist fucking 3. What? And they're going on, and they're talking about how this scene reinvented or reimagined the jump scare. Now, that doesn't make sense to me, because a jump scare is it's a very simple premise. You know it's coming, and shit, it still got you. The way they filmed this particular scene, I was like, this is boring. It's holy shit. Like, it was so, I'm going to go back and watch The Exorcist 3 just so I can get the full context of how this scene, because the lead up to this jump scare was so long and so drawn out that you're like, I'm waiting for credits to show up. Like, this is so bad. And then something kicks. And I was like, all right, The Exorcist 3, like, if that's the quality that this show is presenting, I'm all for it. Like, as we're watching it, we're trying to figure out, because, there's certain movies like, yeah, that makes sense. We got to like the top 3, and at that point we were just like straight up just guessing.
I guessed the number 2, and then the number 1 I had thought it, but I didn't say it out loud because I thought I had missed it. And
that was the thing. Like, I am not at all surprised by the number 1. It made so much sense, and it was perfectly done. I'm upset with myself for not going, yeah, that's going to be number 1. Like, it was such an entertaining show, because not only did they
was number 1 for anybody who doesn't know?
It was They Live just popped in my head. What is the name of that movie? The Thing. Holy crap. Sorry. They Live.
What's that? That's a movie about that thing. What was it?
No, for some reason, They Live, which is that movie with Roddy Piper where he puts on the sunglasses and he could see the aliens. That was not in this movie, so that did not deserve to be in the top 100.
It was not out of bubblegum.
The Thing, which was, it's a classic movie that was horribly redone. The remake was not in this, but the original, like, changed the way horror movies were done. It was the perfect number 1. Seeing the explanations behind the scenes, like David DeSmallchin and John Bloom, like everybody had some sort of bona fides for some reason, and it was done by people who really gave a shit about not only movies but about horror movies. If you like horror, I highly recommend this. It was such a nice trip down like memory lane, and then you get to go, oh shit, I'd never seen that. Let's watch that. Like, there was, what was that, Lake Mungo? Okay, I don't know if you've ever heard of that movie. It was mentioned in this by a director who was talking about another movie. It
was Mike Flanagan, the guy who did House on Haunted Hill. Haunting of Hill House.
Haunting of Hill House. Yeah, we loved that show.
It's my favorite show.
And he said, if anybody ever asked me what horror movie they should watch, this is the first thing I suggest. And we're like, that's great. That's a good enough recommendation for me.
Which I will say, it made, so for anyone who's never seen Lake Mungo, honestly, there's no jump scares. Actually, I'm sorry, there's one jump scare. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't know, 2/3 of the way through the movie. And that was pretty much the only thing in the movie that was like really directly spooky, but it makes sense that it's such an influential film for him, because he, for anyone who doesn't know, when he did the Haunting of Hill House, he actually has a ton of Easter eggs of like things in the background that are just like either characters that you take for granted when you're watching the episodes, or like
That
something
statue
like
moved,
like
or
something
like
moves, or
something in the shadows. Like he
and
does
that's
that a lot.
Exactly what Lake Mungo does. Is there are like these, it's so interesting, like it's stuff where it's like, oh yeah, the kid was taking photographs and videos, and then like in one of the photographs he's like, yeah, I faked it, I just wanted my family to like, I don't really know why I did it, blah 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 blah. And then at the end of the movie you look and she's in the photo twice, because one of them was the one that he faked and the other one was him actually capturing her on film, but he never noticed it.
And like that's the thing about this, like this show, like we would not have seen that. We would have not watched that movie without this show, because
and a lot of good recognition for international horror films, which I was really appreciative of, because those truly
international does better horror than American horror.
Yeah.
So that's just true. But I can't recommend this show enough. I mean, it was so much fun. We blew through like the first 3 episodes in one sitting, and then the next sitting we sat down and watched the rest of it, because it was either that or watch a horror movie. And in watching those 2 sittings, it was watching 100 better parts of movies in 2 nights. Like, it was great. And listening to like people like Edgar Wright talk about the movies, like he blatantly said, yeah, I stole this from there. Like this I did this in my stuff because of seeing it here, and I didn't do it as well. So it
Bite me.
Yeah. And it's I honestly thought there was going to be a couple I was like, yeah, no, this shouldn't be on the list. I didn't say that, not once. I was maybe, I don't know if it, like, even with the placement of them, I was like, no, that's okay. I agree with it. Top 10 was a little weird for me, but it was.
I definitely thought that The Exorcist 3 was a weird choice until they showed that scene, and I was like, holy shit.
And that was the thing. It was not the top 100 scariest horror movies. It was the top 100 scariest horror movie moments.
Yeah. Oh, and they did another one for anyone who's seen the original Suspiria. I was really pleased that they showed that, because I love that movie, and it is definitely like they covered the gamut, and I really appreciated the number of movies that I had seen on that list. Also, it made me kind of feel like a good horror fan.
It was done by Shudder, which is great. For those who don't know, Shudder is like a streaming service that just does horror movies. It's great. It's available on Shudder. My next, because of watching that, I came across another like countdown show, and it was Blumhouse, they do fantastic, oftentimes like really gory horror movies, and it's going to be the next thing that I watch horror movie base wise, but it's the Blumhouse Compendium of Horror, and they're doing it via timeline, where it's like the first episode is like the 30s, and then it goes on and on and on and on up until the 2000s. So that's my next. I'm on a horror kick, because it is, it's Halloween.
We were late to spooky season this year, so we have not watched any of our typical stuff like at all. And I, for the amount of time that I've had to watch television, I've made poor choices, and we've had no time for movies really. We did watch the Black Phone, which was good. It's weird, like the horror movies that we are watching currently are not as scary as they normally are for us. To clarify, the reason that we watched any of these movies was because it was our anniversary, and that was my first day off in the month of October.
And we like horror movies. That's what we do. We sit and watch horror movies. So. All right, I think that just about does it for the first half. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to do our feature topic, which is Quantum Leap, Season 1, Episode 1, July 13th, 1985. But before we do that, let's just do some commercials. All right? Stay tuned.
Hi, everyone. Kris here. Podcast listening is free, but podcast creation is not. That's why the Geekade Patreon exists. In an effort to help us pay the bills, we've got a Patreon page set up where you can gain access to our monthly podcast topic schedule, get early access to many of our shows, and more. If you'd like to help support Geekade and keep these shows running week after week, head over to the Geekade Patreon page, linked in the show notes of this very podcast. And now, here's a quick look at some of the other original content available now from our partners and Geekade.com.
First up, what do you do when you can't call your book a choose-your-own-adventure book because it's copyrighted? Do you go with Find Your Fate? Nope. An American company already registered that too. Fucking America. Perhaps Adventure Book. Too generic to copyright? Well, it's technically a game, right? How about Adventure Game Book? Yeah, that'll do. On an all-new Sparkcast, they look at something that's either a knockoff UK choose-your-own-adventure book or a well-crafted story that uses time to interact with the story in a consistent fashion. That description was pretty specific. Which is it? Find out in Sparkcast, episode 68, Peril from the Stars.
Well, here's a little behind the scenes. Kris, I edit SAG, and I was definitely prepared for what I thought was going to be the commercial that I had to read. And
which one did you think you were going to get?
收袋内 cat 素 K 哈哭牛苦
I actually found that. So I didn't have to
Okay, go
say.
ahead and read that one.
Nope. Next. Quick Change is a movie starring Bill Murray, Gina Davis, and Cousin Eddie from the Christmas Vacation, and features cameos from Stanley Tucci, Tony Shalhoub, and features a scene where two dudes joust on bikes. This should be an all-time comedy classic about a clown robbing a bank. But does it capitalize on its excellent premise and cast? Paul, Sean, and Kris spent some quality time with this movie and discussed what worked, what didn't, and probably a whole mess of other stuff that didn't really have anything to do with the task at hand. And they want you to listen to them. Don't miss a theater near you. Episode 20, Quick Change.
Shitter's full.
Finally, Halloween may be over, but spooky video game music is always in style. On a special bonus episode of the Waveback podcast, Matt and Kris put together their annual spooky special to share some of their favorite Halloween-flavored tunes. From Xenogears to Dadish 3, there's something for everyone. Be sure to check out Waveback episode 155, Spooky Special 8.
For all this and more from us and our partners, be sure to keep your eyes on Geekade.com.
Why is it taking you so long? Do better.
I'm savoring the flavor, lady. These are the best
nerd.
candies in the world.
Living vicariously
Quantum
right
Leap's
now.
pretty good too, but it's no Reese's Pieces.
Describe the flavor.
Nothing is. Stop! Because now
I'm sorry,
I
were
want
you
Reese's
trying to do
Pieces,
something?
and there are none in this house. There's shitty dark chocolate and like fucking canister of natural peanut butter, and that does not make the same thing.
My loving gift to Evan for our anniversary was on our anniversary while he was eating a cookie. I was like, just so you know, we have to take all of the sweets out of the house because we're getting fat. And he was like,
Why would you do this on this day as I'm eating this thing?
He's
This is
like,
not
wow,
right.
I really do you actually love me? And I was like, I do.
All right, Quantum Leap 2022 version.
Reese's Pieces edition.
There were no fat people on that show.
Not a one. Not a one.
God, that's not fair. Representation matters, damn it.
I just want to go to bed.
I felt that I represented the fat person. You know,
We the viewers.
we the viewers are the fat person.
Season 1, Episode 1, July 13th, 1985. A new team assembles to restart the Quantum Leap project. Lead physicist Ben Song takes an unauthorized leap into 1985 as the team scrambles to find out what happened and how to get him back. Okay, so I was a big fan of the original Quantum Leap show. not that I can actually remember anything specific about an episode. It was just bits and pieces. I loved the characters and the theory about a scientist traveling through time to help specific situations. This is a time travel show, so you have to just
say it with confidence.
Negate all logic because there's no butterfly effect. There's none of that takes place in this show. Ben Song, who is the lead in this show, him and his wife or his fiance were working on this program that is literally the continuation of the original Quantum Leap project, and they're trying to figure out what happened because in the original project they lost the original Scott Bakula. Now, for the life of me, I cannot remember how that show ended. I'm pretty sure he's lost forever, and according to this show, he is. So my gut is telling me we're gonna get completion on that, and
gut.
Really, guys?
Fat people.
You guys are killing me.
Well, better us than heart disease, sir.
It's true.
The beat is.
I'm gonna wait. I'm just gonna wait. Someone's on a sugar high. We're giggling now. It's not good. It's gone bad.
Those Reese's Pieces were delicious.
So I picked this show straight up out of, the love of the original show, and I'm gonna just throw it out there. I was not disappointed. I enjoyed this. I'm curious as to what you guys felt. How did you? Do you have any recollection of the original show? Does anybody have any experience with that, or is it just me, the old guy in the room?
This is a tough question for me to answer because I don't want to get hate mail.
What do you mean?
But I never saw the original.
Me either.
And that's salute. That's fine.
Thank you. I'm certain I've seen the original, but I, like you, remember nothing about it other than the basic premise.
Right.
I remember Scott Bakula. I remember he would wake up as different people, but outside of that, that's it. I got nothing.
I mean, he used to say "oh boy" a lot. God bless you.
Me.
I expected the "oh boy" and I didn't get it,
which was mildly disconcerting, but it's fine. They're doing their own thing. What I do like about this show is that they are tying it to the original. Like they're not remaking it. This is a continuation of that
show. Time travel project.
Yes. They in the original show, they really didn't understand how it worked or what was going to happen, or that was the thing. Like it just continued. They still don't know how it works or how it's going to progress or where he's going to go, or so that
was maybe the thing that I appreciated the most, was that they acknowledged that the original premise doesn't make a whole lot of fucking sense.
Oh yeah.
They're like, how does helping somebody trigger a leap? Oh, okay, let's do this.
We don't know. It just does. And that's and like at one point in time, Angela and I were sitting and rewatching it. She asked something, and I went, "All right, you just have to negate time travel thought." Like, yes,
I literally was like, "Are there no repercussions to changing the timeline here?"
There are, but if he goes along the designated Ziggy route, it's going to end up better.
Or not, because he didn't follow shit for Ziggy.
Well, that's the thing. He did. He progressed, and then he did what he felt he needed to do, and that was always the get. Like it was him as a character that led his heart and his determination. That's what was the crux of the original show.
Oh, so Ziggy's irrelevant. Got it.
No, Ziggy comes up with all of the information. Apparently, you did not like this show, and that's fine. Just say it.
Yikes. Somebody has really been deprived of sugar.
I actually quite liked this show.
Do you need a Snickers?
I do. You are supposed to mail that to me.
It's a checks in the mail, buddy. I emailed that Snickers to you. You will have a digital Snickers, and I'm just kidding.
Damn it!
I don't have that power.
So did you guys? You guys only watched the first episode?
Yes, indeedy.
Yep. Because we watched it last night.
Okay. So so the mysterious character that's in this show is Al's daughter. Al was the hologram from the original show. He was the interpreter.
So he had a hologram that followed him around the original show too?
Yes. Al.
Okay. See, I don't remember that at all.
He was Dean. I want to say Stanton. Hold on.
Yes.
Dean Stockwell.
Dean Stockwell.
Dean Stockwell died as a real person, died last year, and that's when they started rolling that storyline in, so that the daughter is now working in some way, shape, or form with this project. So that's like this first episode was actually dedicated to Dean Stockwell.
Yeah, I saw that at the end. Yeah,
and
assumed that was somebody that had something to do with the original show.
Right. So the original show, I don't know what they're going to do with this one, but the original show, like when the doctor, when Sam leapt into a person, that person went into the waiting room, and Al, who is the Dean Stockwell character, he would interact with that person to get information and whatnot. Like right now,
cool.
In this show so far, they are just explaining that Ziggy is a supercomputer that processes every possible likelihood of things to happen and then just gives percentages of what the right outcome is. Now, that was also part of the original show, but they also had the human factor of being able to talk to the person that was leapt into. This episode was about him leaping into a gentleman that was part of this robbery, and you think it's because he's trying to protect himself, or protect the guy, or just it's never a straight line from A to B with this show, and it always progresses, and it shows how character driven the stories are. So it's sticking with that premise. It's doing that again because that's how the original show was. I am pleasantly surprised. Like, I didn't know how I would feel about the Raymond Lee, like the Ben Song. Like, the only thing we've seen him in, or I've seen him in, is like one episode of that Kevin Can Fuck Himself show where he was.
That's right. I was wondering where I remembered this guy from.
He played like the restaurant owner, and I was like, I don't know. I've never seen him in anything else. I thought he did a really good job. Like, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing for this character, at least for me. What do you guys? How do you feel that as people that don't know as much about it, how did he do for you?
Oh, I think he's lovely. He's doing a good job.
Yeah, I feel like we maybe watched more of that Kevin Can Fuck Himself show than you did, because I feel like I seen more
we
than
saw
one
him a couple
episode.
of times.
And I like him a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's great.
And I thought he was great in this.
Okay.
And I thought the show was really good. I mean, I thought Karen and I were both rolling our eyes pretty hard at the dialogue in the beginning of the first episode. It was like
the speech at the wedding about particles and tangling, and I'm never gonna let you go away. Like, oh, come on.
Yeah, they were really
was a little heavy.
Like, I know it's a pilot, but Jesus,
really breaking out the ham and the cliches, like just getting it all
just a
in
ham
there.
and cliche sandwich.
It was a ham and cliche sandwich.
Oh, now you got to change the title on the card, sir.
That is the title.
We're dropping the episode titles. I don't know if that's better. We've got oh man, it's a ham and cliche sandwich. But outside of that, though, it was like it was a very enjoyable experience, and I thought he did a great job too.
Yeah. The supporting cast was great. I was kind of pleasantly surprised. There were more in this show. There's more of a supporting cast than in the original. In the original, it was just Al, which I guess that would be the Addison person, his fiance. where she is the hologram that keeps popping in. But back in, I mean, this show starts in 2022. So back in 2022, there's a whole cast of characters that are trying to figure out what to do to help him get back home. And they're great. Each one of them is doing a great job. They're playing their parts very well. I do like the fact that Ernie Hudson's name is Magic. I don't know why, but
I just love him. I'm so happy he's in this
Ernie
show.
Hudson's great, although I will say that Lucifer being there, I'm sorry, I can't trust that actor now.
So is that...
What's it? Sandman didn't have the most profound effect on me, but I don't think I've ever seen that person.
Mason Alexander Park, the science...
non-binary fella.
Yeah.
I've not seen them in anything else, but they're just not Lucifer. It was what were they? Desire.
Yeah.
Desire. Like the least trustworthy character on that show, and that's like
saying something.
Oh boy, I don't trust this person now. I think it's because of Sandman. I'm just every time they're on screen, I'm like, they're up to something. Their eyes are going to glow yellow, and something's going to go wrong.
You know, it's. So I've seen a couple of episodes past this, and I like that character a lot because their, I don't want to say their story arc, like their responsibility is like tremendous because they're the computer geek, and this whole thing runs on computer science. Like you have the tough, you know, the special forces looking security woman, and like, okay, there's really nobody attacking like the science lab. So, all right, there's that. There's the love interest, which is the Addison character. And I think even though it was, what was that ham and cheesy sandwich relationship stuff?
Cliche. Yeah.
I feel there's chemistry between them. And as the show progresses, there's more. A part about, I don't recall this being in the original show, but the fact that he loses his memory, I think is a neat little touch so that they can figure things out. Like he can't just, because he is the scientist part of it, because that's not, like he can't just say, okay, you have to go back and do all this, and this, and get me home. Like, or he can't just blurt out what his plan is. Like, I feel that leads that adds a little bit of mystery to it, which is fun. I mean, it's not just the episode or the situation that the episode is taking place. There's a larger story behind it, and it just gets deeper and deeper with Al's family and so on and so forth. So, but what did you think, hon?
I liked it. That's why I asked like how you've been enjoying it or if you were enjoying it, because that's something I'd like to watch more of. And I feel like I don't really know what's on our list of things we need to watch, but this is one that I'd like to see more of. So whether we have to watch it separately and just talk about it, or we can watch some of it together, I'd like to, because I really enjoyed it and I need to do better than Step Up.
Do you?
And you know, not for nothing, the acting, I don't want to say the acting, because even though it's cheesy, their acting is good. It's what they're being told to say is kind of rough at points. It gets better, like the dialogue gets better, and there's a lot of
watch a pilot episode.
Yeah, it's there's always something very heartfelt in each of the episodes that, like, I watched at least 3 of them, and I was like, one of them was like, damn, that was a heavy brotherly moment. Like, that made me feel things in a show that I really shouldn't be feeling, like things. Like, this should be a fun kind of thing. But I'm very pleasantly surprised at how reverent they're taking this and being with it. So, well, I'm glad it worked out. You know what? I didn't realize this, but as I looked up season 1, episode 1 on IMDb, the director's name was Thor Freudenthal. Like, that is a hell of a name right there.
That's great.
In this episode, we are introduced to all of the main cast, and teased about the bad guy. that cast stays primarily the same, and then every episode we get more supporting cast because Ben is thrust into another situation. And in the 3 episodes that I've watched, all very good acting, like surprisingly good stuff going on. Like,
I like how the setup for the second episode was, I'm in space. Didn't see that coming.
And that's like, so next episode, space, and spoiler, there's another episode after that.
What?
He's a boxer in one of them. So like every time he's put in a situation, so like they didn't really touch upon it too much in this one. This one is really him figuring out the ins and outs of time travel. In the next episodes, like he figures out what he can do as Ben and what he can do as the other character. So like there's one, they would talk about him being inhabiting the body of a boxer. Like, granted, he's not the most physically fit guy, but he's now in the body of a boxer. So if he has to box someone, they're not going to feel Ben hitting him. They're going to feel the dude that he's inhabiting hitting him. So he just has to figure out how to make that work. And like how they manipulate the situation, just like it plays as long as you negate the shit is affecting all of time. That's the get about time travel. You just have to say, yeah, that's okay. It's fine. It's all going to work out in the end.
Wobbly, timey-wimey.
Yeah.
My question is, in these other couple episodes that you saw, does he keep going to the 80s?
No.
Damn. Because, man, the soundtrack on this episode was great.
So that...
Oh, except for that one...
That one cue where they use like 2 seconds of a really good song and then cut to
what was
commercial.
Take On Me or something?
Yeah.
And it was just like...
It was absolutely criminal use of that music cue and then
that was probably
away
the most
expensive
piece of music that they used, though.
Oh my God. It was like, you're not going to... Don't. I almost
don't buy it and
paused
give me 2
and then
seconds.
turned on the song to just listen to it. It was like musical blue balls.
I'm going to be honest with you. Write that one down.
Oh my God.
I'm going to be honest with you. I realized that the musical cues on the second watching, where it just like I was watching it more for, just remembrance and whatnot. It didn't really hit me the first time through, but I figured that they did such a good job with the first one that it would continue in the following episodes. So one of them was right around the end of Vietnam, and the space one was in the 90s, I want to say.
I guess we have to watch if we want to find out.
They're all like they tie into historical points. Like it makes sense. It's not just Bob. So yeah.
Bob Genghis Khan?
Yeah, Robert Genghis Khan. Okay. I was so happy when like I watched this. I was like, okay, and I'm like my heart, my soul, and my gut are telling me that I'm going to see Bakula again in the show at some point in time. Like he's not
Dracula. He will be Bakula.
No, now you're just stretching.
Too late, the Smacula. Sorry, the Brental Floss song. It's about Castlevania. Doesn't he said he's not involved in this in any way? I mean, not that means anything.
Well, he's not. I don't think he has anything to do with the creation of the show, but his face shows up in it a bunch because they keep referencing him and like they show pictures of him. I mean, the character Ben leapt and screwed everything up because it wasn't supposed to be him. He was supposed to be the hologram, and Addison was supposed to be the leaper. I'm guessing that he is literally going to go find Sam. Like he has a plan to go find Sam. He just he can't relay it yet. And as the episodes progress, you get bits and pieces of what the plan is, but it's not coming from Ben. It's coming from everybody else, like sort of figuring out the computer aspects of everything and what code he uploaded and so on and so forth. So
just to go back to the acting for a second, there was a moment that really struck me when he was at the engagement party.
Mm-hmm.
And they just did the toast and like whatever. And then she was like, oh, I got to go talk to some more people, but let's like disappear in half an hour and go drink some bourbon and make out. And then he got a text or a phone call or like 18 texts. And the camera just closed in on his expression and you watched him watch her walk away and like the meaning of what was going to have to happen next and everything that meant about his life crossed his face in the space of like 3 seconds. And that was very impressive to me.
And
I'm glad you brought it up because I was thinking the same thing.
On rewatch, like it's even more powerful because like when you see it the first time through, like it's like, wow, that's but now you see his reaction because that is a really pivotal point in their story. And you don't know how pivotal until you watch the rest of the show and it, unfolds deeper and whatnot. But like, you're absolutely right. Like his expression spoke volumes. So I'm glad that you guys liked it. I really am. I'm, it's nice to have it's like a feel good show. Like it's fun and is, he's entertaining. The whole cast is doing a great job. So, yay.
So I just want to clarify a little something here. This is from Scott Bakula's Twitter account on September 15th of this year. To Quantum Leap fans around the world, in an effort to quiet the rumors and move on, first of all, thanks for hanging around through the decades. Here's the simple version of what's going on with the Quantum Leap reboot and me. I have no connection with the new show, either in front of the camera or behind it. In January, the pilot was sold and a script was sent to me because the character of Sam Beckett was in it, which makes sense, right? As so many of you have been asking me the last several months, how could you do Quantum Leap without Sam, or Al for that matter? Well, I guess we're about to find out. That's the story. As the show has always been near and dear to my heart, it was a very difficult decision to pass on the project, a decision that has upset and confused so many fans of the original series. However, the idea of anyone leaping around in time and walking a mile in someone else's shoes remains a very appealing concept and so worthy of exploration, especially given the current state of mankind. In that spirit, I am crossing my fingers that this new cast and crew are lucky enough to tap into the magic that propelled the original Quantum Leap into the hearts and minds of generations past and present. I wish them good luck and happy leaping.
Translation. At some point, they are going to throw a dump truck of money
They're going to back up a truck to my house.
at this man.
If this is successful, watch for me in season 2.
Yeah, and so I really feel like that's the point of the show. And at one point in time, in the next couple of episodes, they explain, well, it's going to take X amount of time to get that. Like, it could be, like a Chuck kind of situation where 4 seasons down the line, we find out who his dad is. And that's right, that's Scott fucking Bakula. And, like, it doesn't have, I don't feel like at some point in time, Ben and Sam are going to go leaping together. Like, it's not going to be that kind of situation.
No, he could totally do a cameo and be like, oh, they found me, finally. Okay, like, now I have a happy ending, and they move on with the project and whatever they've learned.
Mm-hmm. That's I would love to see that.
Done it.
Because I also like Scott Bakula. I think he's a true treasure.
What a gem.
Yay. All right, that's a win. I'll take that as a win. I'm glad you guys liked it. We had a good time with that show. It's a new show for us to watch, too. Because we don't really have anything on the docket, hun. Now that I'm thinking about it, like, there's nothing that
well, there's stuff that we haven't watched that's been out, and it's just a matter of getting to it.
Well, we're behind on Rookie. Mm-hmm. And I can't, for the life of me, we can't get through The Boys, no matter how hard we try. Mm-hmm. It's weird.
And there's the Rookie spin-off.
Which we will, I
already said I was not interested.
I'm acquiring it, but I'm not watching that. I did not like that character at all on that show. So I'll get it. Maybe at some point in time if there's another crossover or whatnot and I have to watch that kind of thing.
I know. I'm like, maybe I'll watch an episode.
Yeah, we still haven't finished the Umbrella Academy. But like, we are so far behind on things. Like, it's
All right,
they're
enough talking
slogging
about
through
what
it.
we're not
Anywho.
watching. We'll get to
All
it.
right, so, all right, that's it. That was Quantum Leap. That's a thumbs up from everybody. Please go and check that out. Give it the support and love that it deserves. Kris, it is time for the spiel.
It is time to let you know that this week's episode is not filmed before a live studio audience, but it is fueled by feedback from listeners like you, and you can get in touch with us in a multitude of ways. We have an official Geekade Discord, where there's an entire This Week's Episode channel dedicated to all things TV talk. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram through the official Geekade channels or the more specific Twipcast accounts, and of course the four of us can be found in various ways. I'm available on Twitter at Geekade Kris, that's Geekade Kris, and you can read my work at StoneAgeGamer.com and in the pages of Nintendo Force magazine. Karen, where can people find you?
They can find me at STM Stitches on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Etsy.
Angie, where can people find you?
Everywhere. I'm trying to think. My website. Yeah, we'll do that one today. AngelaFernout.com.
Sweet. And Evan, where can people find you?
TalesOfCapeFear.com.
Outstanding. If you need to know more information about the shows we discussed tonight or what we'll be watching in the future, have a look at our show notes. And if you have any other questions at all, we can always be reached at mail@geekade.com. Just include the words "this week's episode" in the subject line so we know who you're trying to reach. This show is available wherever fine podcasts are sold, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and more. And wherever you decide to listen, please like, comment, subscribe, and leave reviews because any and all feedback is welcome and appreciated. Again, as always, keep your eyes on Geekade for more fresh original content, and I really need to add something about our Patreon in this spiel for next month's episode. But in the meantime,
Patreon.
go check out the Patreon. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's an ad in the middle of the show for our Patreon, and we do early releases. At some point in time, we're going to start doing bonus content. I had some bonus content from SAG that was taking me a little bit longer to edit than I expected. I'm really nervous about it, so I'm really doing a good editing. So, but yeah, please check that out. And support us because we really love doing this, and we're not looking to get rich. We're just looking to break even.
We're trying to keep the lights on at the site.
Uh-huh.
All right. What did I say? I said it was Kris's turn, right? I did the
did.
math. So, Kris, what is our homework?
Andor, Cassian Andor. Yeah, we're going to watch Andor. So Andor's last episode of this season, I guess I got to ask. So the last episode of the season is on November 23rd. Should I say I would like to talk about the season like we did with Moon Knight, or would you prefer if I just pick an episode?
How many episodes are there?
I'm trying to get back to that IMDb page because
Hold on.
it just keeps.
I'll go to my
just
IMDb
keeps
page.
floating around. Or 2022. I think it's 12.
Nope, we'll do an episode.
I feel like that's
Oh yeah, no, it's 12 episodes. All right, so you want me to pick one episode?
Yeah.
Well, for now, I'm gonna say the episode will be season 1, episode 6, The Eye. Unless, of course, a better episode comes along in the next 4.
Okay.
I'm just saying we got 4 episodes left, and this show's been going pretty ding dang strong. But thus far, if I were to talk about one episode, it would be The Eye. So let's tentatively say season 1, episode 6, The Eye of Andor, will be our homework, unless I call an audible, and it will be one of the remaining episodes. But I think it's going to be The Eye.
Okay, everybody, there's your homework, sort of. Star Wars, Andor, season 1, episode 6, The Eye. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of This Week's Episode. I'm Evan.
I'm Angie.
I'm Dan Ryan.
I'm Bacula. To lay the smacula.
Good night.
And this concludes our broadcast day.